What's good? What's good, everybody? Tapping in. Let's check this video out real quick.
Hello, my name is Dr. Robert Burt Davis. Everybody calls me Dr. Burt. And I have the pleasure of serving as the president and CEO of America's Black Holocaust Museum, nestled here in Bronzeville, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I'd like to take a few moments to introduce you to the museum. And we're going to start right here at the very beginning. And if you could just kind of get a look at this, one of the important things that Dr. Cameron wanted to illustrate was that Black people in America, we didn't start with slavery, right? So setting context is really important, especially for a museum, because museum exhibits are designed either chronological order in terms of history events, but also thematic, putting some context to it.
Pay attention to
This
what he's saying.
museum will do a little bit of both. So starting with the cradle of life, illustrating the African continent is
Okay. Notice off the rip what he's saying. He just called that piece of land the cradle of life. What's up, everybody? Peace and love, man. Peace and light. Peace and light. I know it's been a minute. It's been a minute. It's been a minute. I'm here. I'm here. Islam. Peace and light. Peace and light. Islam, brother. For sure. For sure. Oh, you already know what time it is, bro. Let's get it. Absolutely. 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 So listen, man. Go ahead and hit that share button, hit that like button, get everybody to tap in because I'm only streaming on YouTube right now, nowhere else. So let's get these numbers up real quick. Let me see if I can do this real quick. There we go. There we go. So yeah, let's get it. But notice how he said that this is the cradle of life, and he's pointing to Akumu land or Africa or the continent of Africa. That's what he's pointing at as the cradle of life. This will lead one to think that there's no life over here in North Central South America. And I know that's not what he said, but the fact that we're focusing the primary source of life on planet Earth coming from this one pile of dirt, respectfully, this piece of earth known as Africa. But this is a supposed Africa. This is an American Black Holocaust Museum, right? So they're gonna start you with some African heritage, traditions, and folklore, and then lure you right into slavery, and then bring you up to North America, and then talk about the colonies, and then talk about Civil War, and talk about civil rights, and talk about Obama, and voila, there you go. That's a very short history and inaccurate, might I say. The reason I titled this, "The Truth Is Coming Out," and I wanted to start with this particularly just to set the context of what we're talking about this evening. Black people in America, for the most part, are waking up. I'm very, very thankful that a lot of our people are waking up or seeing more truths out here now. So I decided to go live and dive back into some information that we already talked about, we already know, but I think it's gonna be relevant now. Give me a second, pull up my TikTok because the news clip I want to cover is over there. But I want to start that video off and just give a little context on how the majority of Black people in America think history goes. Let's see here. Forgot my TikTok. Because you know the truth. The truth of the matter is, this is our planet, right? This is our planet. So I'm not up for debating who's from Africa, who's not from Africa. This is our planet. I just want to have a conversation about the people who were over here. You know, like that's it. Like nothing, no hating or anything like that. Just want to know what about the people who were already here, um, and that's what I'm talking about today. So I found the clip. Go over to my TikTok real quick. I found the clip. I'm gonna pull up the clip, and then we're gonna discuss it. We're gonna talk about it. I want to know what you guys think about this information, man. And you are not following my TikTok page, shame on you. The Minister of Information over on TikTok. You see it right here. Go give me a follow right now. Smash that follow button. Um, I don't really do too much live because I post a lot over on that platform. So get opportunity, please go ahead and give me a follow. Let's see here. Let's see if we can do this. All right, there we go. Let's check out this first brother. This is it says Freeman Win Tribal Recognition Creek Tribe. Let's check this out real quick.
Foremost, we just want to say, can we get our citizenship? Can you recognize us not only as first-class citizens within the nation, but recognize our contribution to the Creek Nation over the last 500 years? See, here's the thing. A lot of people don't realize we were here when Columbus got here. There were Black Creeks here when the European came here. We're well documented going back to the 1500s. And so don't try to erase our contribution. Don't try to erase what we've done. Don't try to erase our heroes and sheroes within the nation. Let's move forward as one people, and let's talk about how we heal. And obviously, healing includes some type of reparatory justice. And let's say one other thing. Summit, Oklahoma is one of the traditional Black towns of Oklahoma. And reasons there's so many Black towns, including the great Greenwood, of the home of Black Wall Street, was because of the Black Indians had already been here. They had already been free. They already had land. They already had power, and they already had a freedom mind state. So it goes full circle.
Well, certainly enjoy this win because you will have few wins this fall when your Oklahoma Sooners play in the SEC.
All right. But see, I had already posted another article. Hold on. Here it is right here. This is all happening right now as we speak. This is not 4 or 5 years ago. This is July 29th of this year, the Muscogee Nation Court. And this is the Muscogee Nation Court, I think, ruled that descendants of enslaved people are entitled citizenship, right? And the reason they're calling them enslaved individuals, because you have to understand tribes were paid off to raid other tribes and capture those individuals as POWs or slaves or just workforce, labor force, whatever the case is. And they was not recognized within the nation that captured them. So they were commonly referred to them as Black, Negro, colored, or enslaved. They had the freedmen, okay, who were never enslaved at all. Those also have deep heritage and roots in the indigenous population of North America, particularly in Southeast America. When we talk about these indigenous tribes, let's continue. So yeah, this article was definitely out July 29th. The brother you heard prior to this right here is also a recent one. There's another one I posted not too long ago. Well, this brother went completely off. I mean, he straight clocked out, but he was making sense though about what he was saying. And it would be my luck that I don't see it on here. Give me a second, family. Let me spot it on here real quick. But this brother went off, man. I mean, he was making sense about a lot of stuff. As you can see from me scrolling through my elaborate TikTok, you guys can see. Here we go. Let's see. So this was it says Black members battle for citizenship. This was 2023, right? This is also dealing with the man. It's been going on for years. Individuals who were raised in the Southeast, even in the Northeast, the Pamunkey and Wampanoag, Tappahannock, and all those areas up in Northern Virginia, all the way down to the Carolina coast, into Georgia and Florida, and yeah, man, people were misrepresented. Let's say that misrepresented. Now they're being represented as the original individuals from this territory. Let's read right here. This is straight off my TikTok. It said the Black Creek Indians refers to the Black Creek Indian refers to enslaved African Americans who accompanied the Creek Nation during the Trail of Tears. Meanwhile, meaning they were forcibly removed from their ancestral lands. The Black Creek Indians were forcibly removed from their ancestral lands in the Southeast United States Indian Territory. That's what I'm talking about. Carolinas, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Florida, all those areas of Southeast America, the Black Creek Indians were referred to as enslaved African Americans who were accompanied by the Creek Nation. Okay, remember I was telling you there would be nations within nations, right? So these are the Black Creek nations. And I'm just pulling out receipts. I want anybody to come behind me later and say I said nothing. Uh, don't believe me. So this is a Fort Smith. This was a treaty with the Seminoles and the Confederacy. This is difficult to read, but this is the actual article. It says the rebel Seminoles today signed the Treaty of Peace. There was a general shaking of hands all around, which lasted several minutes. The work of reconciliation became something complete among the tribe. Let's keep going because I can't really make that out. On the bottom, it says the following number of slaves held by the tribes in the Southeast are breaking out of war. It says the Creek had 3,000 slaves, Choctaw had 3,000, the Chickasaw had 1,500, and the Cherokee had 4,000. Those are the numbers of enslaved or Black Creek natives that they had within their camps. After the Civil War, the Muscogee Creek Nation were required to grant citizenship to Black people it had formerly enslaved. So this was in 1979 that these individuals received their citizenship or their due diligence or recognition amongst the tribes, right? And it's simply saying, man, y'all know who we are. Y'all know we've been here. Please recognize us, right? Recognize us at all times. Yeah, it's a couple of them. I was reading about the Cheyenne tribe also. There's a couple of them that didn't get mentioned. And a lot of these things, man. So definitely, absolutely. Um, let's continue on with this right here. It says the order explicitly calls for the settlement of Black families on confiscated land. To see, this is the redistribution of lands. This is the redistribution of lands given to those who return back to the Southeast region to settle. This is after the Trail of Tears. They asked for them to come back to the land, and of course, Andrew Johnson, or yeah, he vetoed it. I think. Let's go back to this right here real quick. It says this is the redistribution order. This is known as Special Field Order number 15, I think it was called. It was the order to redistribute about 400,000 acres of land to newly freed Black families. Remember, those Black families were, as we just saw, those Black families they're referring to were right here. The Black Creek Indians refers to enslaved African Americans. So those Black people were commonly referred to that, but they were actually the Black Creek Indians who received this land from Atlantic coast of Charleston, South Carolina, Jacksonville, Florida, including the Sea Islands of Georgia. Those are the lands that they got right there. So when you see these photos, these are the people who were working the land, came back to the land. These are not slaves. These are not anything of that sort. These people out there working the land because the land was given back to them. Okay, what bro say? I finally spoke to my grandfather for the time for research purposes. His mother last name was Mingo. She was born with the name of Queen Mary Mingo, Iroquois. Wow, that is crazy. Crazy. She was born in Gary, Indiana. Taking that in. Yeah, yeah. That's crazy, bro. But a lot of us already know, and it don't have to be argued really. Who our descendants are and descendants were. Let's just pop on this video real quick about the Black Seminoles. I think is this one right here. Yeah, let's check this out.
C. 1834 November 1st, 1917, was a Union Army soldier during the American Civil War. Among the first Black representatives to the North Carolina House of Representatives in 1868 to 1869, and inventor. Parker David Robbins was a mulatto with Chowanoke Indian ancestry who served in the Union Army during the Civil War. He was also a legislator and inventor. In 1920, a new Pleasant Plains Indian school was built to replace the original school that was built in 1866. No slaves or descendants of slaves were permitted to attend for.
These kids are already in school, right? During the time of they were passing laws for Negroes not to read and write, but they were in school. This is called assimilation. Let's look it up real quick. Assimilation. Let me show you what assimilation is. One second. But keep that picture in mind right here as we go to me showing you guys about assimilation and what that picture represents. Because you get to look at the picture and be like, well, I know what my eyes are seeing. I know I see kids in that classroom that look like me. What year is this? Like, when was this again? Well, I'm going to show you. Google search. There it is right there. Native Americans were sent to assimilation schools. Not simulation. Assimilation. Put the word together. The beginning of the 19th century, hundreds of thousands of Native Americans, hundreds of thousands, 500,000, 700,000, 187,000, hundreds of thousands of Native American children were sent to government-funded and or church-operated boarding schools. And these boarding schools are commonly known as orphanages. It says the policy was driven by the desire to assimilate Native Americans into Euro-American culture, extinguish the indigenous language, religion, and ways of life. This happened. This is the American education system. This is what they did to all of the ancestors. They completely brainwashed them. Got them thinking that they're Black, Negro, and color. This is the early 19th century. This is also around the time of eugenics. The early 19th century. I'm sorry, it's 1800s. Apologize. 20th century, 1900s. So this is as early as the 1800s. The 1800s also during the time of anti-literacy laws, they called them. Look at this. The beginning of the 19th century, the 1800s. Hundreds of thousands of Native American children were sent to government-funded and or church-operated boarding schools. Orphanages also was included in this. Those orphanages was government-funded as well. We'll talk about the orphanages in a second. So the school's implementation practice designed to eradicate Native American identities. This included, don't you hear Minister Farrakhan talking about, they took away your language. They took away da 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 da. This is what it was right here. Right here. The schools implemented practices designed to eradicate Native American identity. These included forced students to abandon the native language and speak only English. We correct our children all the time. They ain't correct English. This is psychoneurosis. We do it right now to our children. Speak proper English. Like we get on their ass. They say a word incorrectly, supposedly. Right? Even though English is like an equivocal language. Right? Cutting students' hair. cut your hair, which held cultural significance in many tribes, according to MP5.gov, forbidding students from practicing their traditional religion and cultural ceremonies, assigning English names to students. This sound like black people. This is what Malcolm was talking about. Malcolm X, assign English names to students, replacing their traditional names, replacing traditional clothing in Western style attire. Take the moccasins off. This is all under assimilation. Boarding schools, American Indian boarding schools, and we ain't got to go to that again because we already covered it. Hampton University was one of the first American Indian boarding schools, and we know that uh, Booker T. Washington attended that institution and came back down as was the first president of Tuskegee University. These are all HBCUs or agricultural colleges operating off of land grants. These are government funded programs. These HBCUs. That's why nobody at HBCU knows fucking real history of black people. They don't know it. We have a couple of people that woke, but they ain't African woke. They ain't like all the way woke, right? But anyway. Let's go back to TikTok real quick. Hope you guys are keeping up, follow me. I just find this information to be interesting, man. And it's all coming out, it's all coming together. Look at these students. Look at these babies. This is all part of the early assimilation school.
For fear that they would learn to read and write. According to oral history, there was a comb test to determine eligibility, and there were a few white students.
A comb test. You have to have a comb test. Not a paper bag test. Paper bag test is later. There was a comb test to determine. If you can't use your comb, don't bring them home. They did a comb test. Listen to this stuff, man. Hair comb.
Students who were from Indian families and were Indian or mulatto on paper. This was an effort at self-determination, Indian families having a say in the education of their own children. Native American children from all over the state of Michigan, along with children from Alaska, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and New York were forced to the Mount Pleasant Indian Industrial Boarding School. It had an average enrollment of more than 300 students annually for many of the years it was open. The Chowanoke were an Algonquian-speaking tribe who lived in northeastern North Carolina near the Chowan River. The Meherrin people attempted in vain to reorganize in the early 1900s. Events of the time, prejudices, factions in the community, governmental interferences, etc., prevented the tribe from openly acknowledging its continued existence and Indian heritage. In 1984, Reuben Louis was elected elected to a 4-year term as chief of the Meherrin Indian tribe.
That's the part y'all not realizing. Mic check, check. There we go. That's the part y'all not realizing. This is your granddaddy them. These the people. And this is why don't nobody want to have this conversation. When I was trying to have the conversation with Booker T. Coleman on Chrome TV, I tried to have a conversation about this. This is the information I was going to present to him. And then we was going to have a conversation about it, right? But let's continue.
Parker David Robbins, c. 1834 November 1st, 1917, was a Union Army soldier during the American Civil War.
Let's see what else on here real quick. I still didn't get to the article video I want to get to. Let me find it. Again, this is all on my TikTok, man. Go follow my TikTok. All this shit is on there. Like, shit is crazy. Tons of information. Here it is, right? Here we go. Got it.
I'm also the founder and executive director of Justice for Greenwood. I'm here with my clients, Rhonda Grayson, Jeff Kennedy, and Representative.
This was last year.
Also, Creeks of African descent or Black Creek Indians.
That's your auntie, them right there, sitting there.
And we came down here from Oklahoma with Representative Dewey McClain's here in Atlanta to come to this particular hearing because we wanted to make sure that the world understands that we do exist. For the last 45 years, the Creek Nation has practiced Jim Crow style anti-Black racism and segregation.
Truth coming out, y'all.
They've erased our history and our contributions from the history books, including the fact that we too were a part of Hickory Ground. We too walked on the Trail of Tears. We too helped build this community, and some of our ancestors were enslaved by the Creek Nation, and some were free. And the Creek Nation has been violating the Treaty of 1866.
That's the treaty they signed for recognition. Hey, man, listen.
Since 1979, that treaty, particularly Article 2 of that treaty, which was negotiated and signed by my four-time Oklahoma. I'm also the founder and executive director.
There it is. There it is. Those are mainly the reasons for me hopping on here today, man, was to show you that in the current news, last year news, year before that news, like, people waking up, bro. Folks are really waking up, understanding just who the fuck they are and where they come from. And it's undeniable when you see somebody look like your sister, your cousin, your aunties, your grandma, them. It's undeniable when you see it. And then you read of the heinous acts, the Trail of Tears being one of the early, besides the 100-year Indian War, the Trail of Tears. Then to follow up with people like Albert Plecker creating the Racial Integrity Acts and paper genocide, and then eugenics was right there with that shit. So it's a lot going on, man. And the Birth Certificate Act and all those things happen. Pieces of papers, certificates, bonds. Crazy. Names changed. Names got switched. The invention of people via science is when early pseudoscience popped off. And I hope I'm connecting the dots for y'all. This is interesting because this is part of more science temple teaching under the teachings of the Honorable Prophet Noble Drew Ali, who divinely prepared the Holy Koran, Circle 7, or Quadrant 7, it should be. But something interesting is in there, and it says, according to all true and divine records of the human race, there is no Negro, black, and colored race attached to the human family, because all the inhabitants of Africa were and are of the human race descendants of the ancient Canaanites, nation from the Holy Land of Canaan. And what we take from this right here is, according to all true and divine records, there is no such race. It doesn't exist because race itself is a pseudoscience construct. The term was often, this is the term race. Race is a social construct. It's a group who share similar distinct physical characteristics. They're going off what's called phenotype. Phenotypical. You look like you belong to that group. That's it. There's no science, there's nothing supporting it when it comes to race. The term was often used in the general biological taxonomic sense. Remember that word taxonomic. Write that word down. Taxonomic. Taxonomic. I'm going to teach you about the father of taxonomy, Carl Linnaeus. Starting from the 19th century to denote genetically differential human population defined by phenotype. That's all race is. Ethnicity, however, refers to the culture factors, including nationality, regional culture, ancestry, and language. So we're talking about what is your ethnicity, not what's your race. And on applications, that race question is voluntary. Nobody's forcing you to do it. They're just collecting information, collecting data. Plenty of nations were over here. One in particular being what's known as the Iroquois Nation, the Algonquian speaking people. We also have the Washita people. Let's learn about the Washita real quick. There we go. These are the Washita people. Hold on. These are the Washita people. It looks like Oshitush. Shouts out to, man. Free Dr. York. Dr. Malachi York was the only person I heard talking about Oshitush and the Washita people of Louisiana Poverty Point. He was the only brother I heard talking about this. Let's check it out.
Their name has also been pronounced as Washita by English speakers. The spelling Washita and pronunciation Washata. The Washita were loosely affiliated with the Caddo Confederacy. Their traditional homelands were the lower reaches of the Washita River. Around 1690, the tribe is believed to have settled at Pargood Landing on the Washita River. This was later the site of a French trading post, and ultimately the present-day city of the Washita assimilated into the Natchitoches tribe by the 1720s. Today's descendants are enrolled in the Caddo Nation of Oklahoma. The Washita Nation was headed by Verdiace Hampton Gostin, also known as Verdiace Turner, and as Empress Verdiace Tiari Washita Turner Gostin L. Bay, c. 1927 to 2014. Poverty Point World Heritage Site is a story 3,400 years in the making. A trading hub, an engineering marvel. Poverty Point was abandoned around 1100 BC. A more recent native group added another mound in about AD 700, but occupied only a small fraction of the site, and only for a brief period. Mound pyramids, also known as platform mounds, are flat-topped earthworks built by indigenous peoples in the Americas for various purposes.
Let's talk about these pyramids real quick over here. Some say pyramids, some say mounds. Let's set the record straight. They are pyramids. Um, People who just only call them mounds, I really wonder about their geometry class grades when it comes to angles and understanding shapes. I think the average American only knows the standard shapes. I think people still get confused about octagon and hexagon and things of that nature. So let's just take a look at these pyramids, at these mounds. Monk's Mound. It says Monk's Mound is a large prehistoric earth structure in the Americas, particularly North America, located at Cahokia Mound State Historic Site in Illinois. It was built by the Mississippian culture. So if you're still doubting the whereabouts of so-called Negroes in America, write down the Mississippian culture. Write down the Mississippian culture and go study what's up, peace and love, and go study the Mississippian culture. Now, this is the Cahokia Mounds, they call them. The Cahokia people. I'm sorry, the Illinois tribe. The Illinois tribe. Watch this. When did the Illinois tribe settle in North America? The Illinois tribe, also known as the Inawaka, settled in the area was now known as Illinois, part of Michigan, beginning around the 1600s. They were part of a larger Confederation tribe and believed to have been among the most powerful in the region. 1600s, it says, 1600s. Evidence suggests people were living in Lake County area of Illinois as early as 10,000 BCE. We just know it was not the Illinois tribe. They're much later. So these prehistoric mounds were built by prehistoric people. They said right here, early inhabitants were around 10,000 BCE. The early inhabitants. Let's find out who the early inhabitants were. That's what we're doing right now, right? This says it was built by the Mississippian culture, likely 900 to 1200 AD. This massive platform with the base covering of 14 acres and rises 100 feet in the air serves the foundation and important building likely housed residents of Mississippian chief. Monk's Mound, a trapezoid-shaped earthwork. They call it trapezoid, but it's actually truncated pyramid. Oh Lord, that's not what I said. Truncated pyramid. There we go. See? Right there, truncated pyramid. That's what the mounds are. The same truncated pyramid on the back of your dollar bill. Same one. So when people try to argue, say, no, those are not pyramids. See, they are pyramids. You have different types of shapes, isosceles triangles. You got to find out what the hypotenuse of that particular angle is. But this is a truncated pyramid. A truncated pyramid, also known as a fossum of a pyramid, is a pyramid that has been sliced off by a plane parallel at its base. The result is a solid 2-polygon base, original base, new similar trapezoid lateral face. This is a pyramid. Where else do we see the flat pyramid at? Pyramid of dollar bill. See? Let me show y'all something. Let me show you a trick. Let me see. Let's see if we can slide it up a little bit. There we go. Hold on. Let me see right here. See right here. See how it's flat. The eye is just for distraction. never mind the eye. Just look at the flat pyramid, the mound right here. I'm showing you guys. That's the mound. That's the nation. Flat top of that pyramid is a mound or a pier or a mound. All right. Let's go back. Let's continue on. Let's get back to TikTok. I like this. My TikTok page is teaching us today. I'm just going into details about it, but let's continue.
Monk's Mound is the largest pre-Columbian earthwork in the Americas and the largest pyramid north of Mesoamerica. The beginning of its construction dates from 900 to 955 CE, located at the Cahokia Mounds. These platform mounds are usually four-sided truncated pyramids, steeply sided, with steps built of wooden logs ascending one side of the earthworks. When Europeans first arrived in North America, the peoples of the Mississippian culture. The Mississippian culture was a Native American civilization that flourished in what is now the Midwestern, eastern, and southeastern United States from approximately 800 to 1600.
Look at them Indians down there in New Orleans. The switch up. Let's continue with the switch up. Let's continue. Statelessness. In international law, statelessness is a lack of citizenship. Remember, these so-called people to get citizenship or granted some type of citizenship into the 14th, 15th Amendment, had to be given rights under the new Constitution. They were not included, supposedly. Not all of them. And I love talking about this. All my Moors in the building. If you know anybody in the Moor Science Temple, tag them. Tag him with this video. Please tag him with this video. As soon as I pull up Prophet Noble Ali, it sends out a signal for all the Moors to come on. But Noble Ali said, according to science, black means death. We're talking about the term black now. And I'm going to show you the progression, which you already know that why they changed the names. Why did they change them? Why did they change so many times? What was the reason of changing these people's names, the designations, from Negroes to colored folks to black to African? Like, what is the point of doing that? So I showed you the assimilation schools. The simulation schools that they put the so-called Indian Negro kids in, Negro Indian kids, the babies, right? Let's go deal with it. Again, go check out my TikTok, man. It's heavy. It's heavy with information. I love it. Where is it at? Looking for the one. And this information I already covered before too. I just like to revisit the information, especially when new articles and new information comes out about the same exact shit I already told y'all. Affirming rather. Let's check this one out right here.
For 34 years, starting in 1912, Dr. Plecker was the director of the state's Bureau of Vital Statistics, carefully compiling birth and death records. Anyone who had one drop of other than white blood was listed as colored.
And basically all the tribes in Virginia in the early 1900s were referred to as colored, okay? Then after the 1924 Racial Integrity Act, everything that was in that colored bowl became Negro, okay?
All right. Let's go back one more time. That's crazy.
Act, everything that was in that colored bowl became Negro, okay? And that's one of the reasons why in 1968, the Supreme Court bowl became Negro.
As color.
And basically all the tribes in Virginia in the early 1900s were referred to as colored, okay? Then after the 1924 Racial Integrity Act, everything that was in that colored bowl became Negro, okay? And that's one of the reasons why in 1968, the Supreme Court overthrew that Racial Integrity Act and gave Native Americans the right, if they were born before July 1960, to come forward to the Bureau of Indian Affairs and correct those records that had been changed.
Talk to me about the relationship then as Indians started to assimilate into other cultures because they weren't recognized on their own. What was happening back then?
Yes, the standoffish between the Indian Native American community and the African American community because of what had happened to them with. For 34 years, starting in 1912, Dr. Plecker was the director of the state's Bureau of
Heavy. What else I got for y'all? Heavy. So names are being changed, designations are being switched, going from black, Negro to colored. Noble Drew said, according to science, black means death, according to science. And once I found out which science he was talking about, man, I was mind blown. Mind blown. Mind blown. Right? So listen. Oh, for sure. What was Noble Drew talking about? Which science? But what science? What science, Prophet? What science means death? Which of the sciences means death? I want you guys to write this shit down. Political science he was talking about. Political science is the social science which deals with systems, governments, and analysis of political activities, political thoughts, and political behavior. This is political science. This is J. Edgar Hoover. This is COINTELPRO. This is all that shit right here. This is the FBI right here. Political science. It's a science. So politically, Negroes, blacks, and colors don't stand a fucking chance. Social science is the other science. According to science, black means death. Social science is the majority category of academic disciplines concerns of which societies and relationships among individuals within a society. Oh my God, this is what he's talking about, according to science. Black don't stand a chance with these two sciences. The social science includes economics, what are one of the areas that so-called black people suffer from the most. Economics, anthropology, archaeology is with the source of themselves, where they come from. Law, history, and language. These are the areas, probably all of them. These are the highlighted areas that, according to science, black people suffer from the most. Let's talk about some biology real quick before we get out of here. Remember I told you earlier, remember the word taxonomy? When they was judging people on a taxonomical category? What is taxonomy? Taxonomy is a branch of science that encompasses the descriptions, identification, nomenclatures, and classifications of organisms. They went down to the science to identify you. Linguistics. I covered this before, just so I'm going to go through this real quick, but onomastics. You always want to deal with onomastics. Write down the word onomastics, though. Onomology. Onomastic is the study of the history of the origin of proper names, especially personal names. You want to become obsessed with the onomastics of it, because we know this ain't your name. These are not our names we're carrying. So We have to become obsessed with the onomastic, studying the history and the origin of proper names. Anthroponym. An anthroponym is the study. Anthropomastics. Anthropomastics is the study of names of human beings. The study of anthro, Greek means human, and the branch onomastics, studying the names of humans. This is all encompassing, but the switch. Anthonyms are important. Antonyms important. The term black is often used in the West to describe people whose skin is dark. This is a West thing. They use the word black for. Go through the census. This is literally desensitizing the people. No, write down 1790. Write down 1790. And I want to go here. I want to go here too, real quick. You guys got 1790, right? Which was when they started counting people. Now, this is 1935. The Registrar for Vital Bureau of Vital Statistics this week, your birth certificate, bro. So from 1790, when they first started counting, they didn't get this office until 1935. We know who Walter Albert. He was a famous eugenicist. We dealt with eugenics before. He was a white supremacist. He had the Racial Integrity Act, the one-drop rule. Why was this so crazy? The Racial Integrity Act of 1924. 1790, they started counting you. And the category got changed a couple times. 1790, they first started counting you. Watch the category change from 1790. Check this out. 18th century, 19th century, and 20th century. In the 1820s, this section said color. That was everybody of color in North America. 1850, it says slaves. Black to indicate, B to indicate black. You have mulatto. 1890, which is 100 years after the 1790 census, the categories went from white, black, mulatto, quadroon, octroon, or American Indian. Because remember, the tribes like the Illinois tribe and the Navajo tribe, all those tribes, they didn't come into existence in the 1600s. See, those people out west were what they call Bedouin or desert travelers, desert dwellers. They had teepees. They basically were just camping out everywhere. They had no origin home, no like foundation home. 1930s, it went to Negro. 1970s, Negro or Black. 2012, Black or African American. In the 2012 census, 12.1% of Americans identified themselves as Black African American. So from 1820 to 2012, they branded you Black, Negro, and color, and now you just accept it. There's the guy again, Plecker. It was called the reclassification. He reclassified the original people, the copper-colored people of America, to statuses like Negro, Black, and colored. So Noble Ali had it right. These are all labels given to you by slaveholders. You accepted these, but not just on your own. You know, you went to a simulation. You got assimilated in school. They experimented on you. They switched it up. They duped you. They tricked you. Right? They cut you open. They try to figure out what and who you are, and they finally just flip the script on you. Listen, man, that's my time. I really hope you guys got something out of it today. Be sure to go over and follow my TikTok, man. All this information comes from my TikTok. And I think that's all I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna go off my TikTok page and just expound on stuff over there because it's a lot of stuff over there. I don't think y'all are really appreciating the information that they're putting out over there. Go check it out. Miss some information. My TikTok again. Miss some information right there. That's what it looked like right there. I was the one bringing y'all the information about all this stuff, bro. Nobody talked about the fact in the movie Amistad that these were Moors being brought over here. These were the Africans they're talking about being brought to North America. These people, you were already here. Been here. Ain't been nowhere else but here. Crazy, man. Crazy. All right, fam.
Argent, cross of gules with four heads of Moorish kings and the...
Y'all be easy, man. Peace and love. Be sure to share this, man. I'll be sure to hop on live a lot more. Holla at y'all. Share this shit, man. Peace and love.